Welcome back, guys, to episode 67 of the Vegas Confessions podcast. And this episode title is going to be called Welcome Back. It's the first episode of the year.
And it's March.
So, again, before we jump into anything, we're going to cover some shout outs. Again, to all you listeners, man, who have been reaching out over the last few months. Hey, what's going on with the podcast? Are you guys okay? Everything? Did you guys get COVID? We've had so many people reach out, and I've been telling Cal. I told her last week, I'm like, you wouldn't believe how many people reached out. She's like, nuh-uh. You know how she is, super soft-hearted. She's like, are you serious? I'm like, babe.
Because I don't read them. They only go to his phone. So when he lets me know, like, what's going on, I'm like, wow, that's crazy. And, you know.
And it was non-stop. And I was like, all right, to the point where I'm like, all right, these people are like constantly asking, let's get it on the road. We're going to explain some of the reasons for the break in the show. Well, let's start off with, over on shout-outs. Dustin, Ed, Jay Schwartz, Bobby G, Travelzork, Michael Traeger, all you guys, so many of you guys, thank you. These are just the ones off the top of my head. But one that stuck out to me was a guy by the name of Elias Cruz. This guy reached out to us through Twitter, and he's like, hey, you guys need me to take over the show? Because I know you guys haven't put nothing out in a while. Do you need me to drive over to Fresno and come down and record with you guys? Because I'm really missing and I need some content. So again, Elias, this is for you. Yeah. Again, so many people, just awesome people. And again, I don't get to interact with a lot of these names. So when the new names come up, I'm always excited, right? It's a new person, but I don't know, who listens. I see numbers, but I don't know who listens all the time. So when you guys reach out through Twitter, it means a lot. So I'll touch up on more on Twitter later, but again, Elias, thank you, dude. That makes me laugh so much when I read your guys' messages, and it means a lot. So again, the reason for the break in the show. There's been a lot of things that we've changed around here, especially in the recording room. I've turned my office basically into the recording room.
It looks like night and day.
Yes.
Green screens, lights, soundboards, a Vegas picture, you name it, Julian's done it to there.
And again, everything I've learned from starting the podcast, you name it, I've learned off of YouTube. So again, which is a big reason why, again, I tell you guys, hey, check us out on YouTube, because we have a lot of fun on YouTube, but there's a lot more you guys get to see that we get to offer you guys on YouTube. So after contemplating the last 5 months of the interactions on YouTube versus, the regular podcast version. And for you guys who don't know, everything I do is on my phone. I don't have a computer. I have a laptop that I record the show on, but for the most part, all the YouTube videos, everything I throw together is on my cell phone. So I've been telling Cal, hey, I'm very interested in finding a computer. I got all this professional equipment with everything going on, with PlayStation scalping, Xbox scalping, Bitcoin rising through the roof. Apparently it's affected electronics, so it's been super hard to even get my hands on a graphics card. And if you guys are tech people out there, you guys will know what I'm talking about. This shit's been crazy. I have future interviews lined up with people to talk Bitcoin in Vegas, and it's gonna blow your mind with some of the shit they have bored talking to me about. So again, the computer part's been one of my last issues struggling to get, but the plan of the show, and after watching everything, what we want to do is bring this show basically and give you guys a YouTube version. Everything we can do here is limitless. We can bring more entertainment to the show and involving and interacting with you guys. So the main point of the show is going to be doing a live stream with you guys for an hour. We're going to set up a date and a time during the week and have you guys come enjoy the show with us live and interact with us on topics. And that's going to make it even funner for us, because literally when we record the show, it's us talking.
And I'll actually get to meet some of you and hear from you.
Well, and I think it's not only...
chat.
Well, and it's going to be more fun for them, but it's also going to make it a lot more fun for us.
Oh, yeah.
Because we're going to have this stuff open, and we're going to see your guys' comments. And like I told Cal, our hour of BSing here that we always fly through is going to go even faster with you guys commenting and giving us topics.
You don't love just talking to me?
Of course I do.
Lies.
So, but in all seriousness, I think we can have a lot more fun bringing the podcast to YouTube and a YouTube version only. Therefore, in the future, in the next couple of months, there's probably going to be only a YouTube version of this podcast. You will only be able to find the Vegas Confessions podcast on YouTube, and for many different reasons. Like I mentioned, we brought in the equipment, we know what our plans are, and there's going to be a lot less work going into the podcast. That being said, when I was starting the YouTube channel up and the podcast, it's 2 different versions, right? So it's kind of double the work. But after doing it for a bit, I'm realizing there's a lot more feedback on the YouTube side. And I get it through Twitter, I get it through email, I get it through Facebook, but I have 5-6 different outlooks I'm working through to get, connected with you guys. So sometimes a lot of those things get overlooked. And I'm not going to lie, the emails, I rarely check them unless, it's time to record. I'll see if something's in there interesting. But for the most part, it's a lot easier for you guys to get a hold of us through Vegas Confessions on Twitter. DM me, tag us, let us know your guys' replies to some of the questions we have coming to you guys in this episode. But if you guys want to get a hold of us, send something our way, tag us in a picture, do it on Twitter. Facebook, again, I'm rarely on Facebook. You're on Facebook more than me. But again,
I'm not on Vegas Confessions Facebook.
No.
I don't have that. You have that.
Right. But for the most part, I'm usually on Twitter. And if you guys follow us on Twitter already, you guys know that I post quite a bit when it comes to Vegas. I post quite a bit when it comes to gambling wins, crazy stuff in Vegas, funny stuff in Vegas, and pretty much gambling related for the most part. So I encourage you guys to follow us on Twitter. If you don't have a Twitter, it's worth it, because not only do we give you guys all that shit, but we give you guys the show links and show notes and let you guys know what our plans are when we're in Vegas with constant updates. So it's beneficial for you guys if you want to keep up with us.
Some of us get to go more often than others.
We'll talk about that later, sourpuss. So another topic I wanted to talk about was, being subscribed to the channel, because again, like I said, in a couple months, this audio version of the podcast that some of you are listening to won't be here. And again, like I said, we've changed some of the things here, the way we do things, like recording here in the room. So we do have the traffic out in front of the house, which is a little loud. We've bought some equipment in to try and dim that down. I figured out some ways here in the editing to knock that down too. But if you catch a little bit of it, eventually once we get the computer, it's gone. You know what I mean? I can do that in post editing and get that out. But for right now, just kind of bear with us. You may hear a car here and there, mainly on the YouTube side. The podcast side, I know how to take it out already. But again, this is all a learning concept for me. So again, nothing's perfect here. Nothing's professional, but we like to have fun.
Except us.
Therefore, that's why we're doing all this, so we can have more fun doing this show that we already have fun doing, and including you guys. So I hope it makes sense on, what we've been doing. And there's also been some things we've had happen during the break as well. So our kids have went back to school.
2 days a week.
We started working, and then while we were working, we caught COVID.
Yes.
So we caught COVID.
Let's take that crazy story real quick.
Yeah, right.
So our oldest went back to Georgia January 8th, right? And as part of the softball team's protocol, as soon as they got back, they had to test. She goes back on a Saturday. They test on a Monday. She calls me on Wednesday and says, "Mom, I tested positive." I said, "There's no way."
As soon as she got back. Yeah.
Right? The team tested, right, on Monday. And I think it was Tuesday that she's like, I tested positive. They're going to retest me. Okay. I'm like, okay. They retest her. She says, "I test positive again, Mom." And I'm like, that's just crazy, Sid, because no symptoms, no fever, no cough, 0 symptoms. So when I hear that, I'm like, Julian, I should go test. Like, I took her to the airport. I was with her like the whole break. And I don't have any symptoms either, but I'm like, well, if she has it, what's the probability? So I go test on a Wednesday, that very next Wednesday, so like the January 10th. And I get my results back on Saturday, and I test positive. No symptoms at all. But I'm like, well, what do I do? So I have to, stay home from work, quarantine for 10 days. I never get any symptoms. Sydney never had any symptoms. The next week, Julian goes and tests as well, because he's like, well, everybody else tests. So signs up, and he gets in 4 or 5 days later. Yeah. That's the next opening. He tested positive for COVID. Mm-hmm. Also, I think you had lost your taste and smell. I lost
my taste and my smell. And for anybody who knows me, you guys know I'm a chef. And that's one of the worst things that could have happened, because maybe, I think it was the next day I was home, right? So I'm like, all right, well, I'm quarantining. I decided to make breakfast for everybody. So I made chorizo breakfast burritos, hash browns, eggs, everything, right? Did it all up. Well, as I'm done with everything and I'm starting to put burritos together and season up everything, I'm realizing I taste it and I can't taste shit. And that's the worst thing. It's like just texture in your mouth. Right. I put my head in the coffee container, couldn't smell nothing. I'm like, this is crazy. And that's when I knew that, all right, I've lost my smell and taste. And it was like that for a good week. Yeah. It was like that. And then, again, no major symptoms, you know, thankfully.
No fever, no cough, no, you know, hard to breathe. So all three of us, we were, and then our middle child, the 6th grader, Julian took him to test the next week just in case. He ended up testing negative. So he could have had it and just was outside of the window or, you know, just got lucky and didn't catch it. But that was our COVID, and I can't even call it a battle. We just tested positive. We got very, very lucky.
Well, so, and that was another, and I'm glad you mentioned that, the battle. That was one of the also reasons of the break, because while things were starting to get bad again, when we had that second surge
in California, Vegas, our numbers really went up.
In Vegas, and remember, things were getting wild, fights every day on the strip and all kinds of shootings, and it was getting, and I'm not the type of person, I don't want to report on bad. Obviously, we like to have fun, we like to BS and laugh. So it was getting really hard to, again, some of you guys know, hey, we had that circus video, boom, same week, shooting, and it all just put everything on halt. Well, speaking of COVID, and this is one thing we haven't mentioned, and this is something I've talked about with friends in Vegas in the past, and, you know, about COVID. So there were some people who were like, you know, I'm not going to Vegas. I'm not going to Vegas to catch COVID. I don't feel safe, and that's fine. Some people are like, hey, I'm not going back to work. I don't feel safe. That's fine. After a while, I was like, all right, I'm ready to go back to work, right? So I eventually go back to work. Well, I caught it. Big fucking deal. It was something I was willing to risk going to work every day. Well, I caught it. I think part of me was like, okay, let's put everything on break. Let's stop with the Vegas trips, because we said too, hey, Vegas getting a little wild right now, especially if we just go by ourselves, or if I'm by myself, like, let's take it easy. Because one thing I would really hate, and that wouldn't sit right with me, is if I went to Vegas, came back, and tested positive for COVID. Because I think that would have, because Vegas is our escape, right? And to go there and come back with we're used to coming back losing money, but when we come back positive with something we don't want, like a COVID, it's a different, I don't know, it brings up a different question. So for me, it was like, all right, let's just chill out. Let's let everything pass.
Well, the fact that we went to Vegas for a week with the kids at the end of October, and we were super safe and didn't get anything. Yeah, and then here we are just at home. Working. I was working. Yeah. You weren't even working.
No, I was working. I already had started working.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, so Julian had just started working. Right. But, you know, that's where, you know, somehow we caught it.
So, again, there was that involved. And, again, you know, part of this transition and learning more of the YouTube programs and more video programs to now navigate and only learn towards, you know, the podcasting stuff we have down, but bringing everything to YouTube, including the sound, is being the trick for me. So that's my next goal, is getting that down. Again, the computer comes to place, everything gets a lot smoother. But yeah, the break was, I'm not gonna say well needed, but it really made me miss doing this. We've been talking about it. How many times we've mentioned multiple times, like, hey, think about when we start again, we can talk about this, we can talk about this. And one thing I did want to mention that I didn't have in my notes that we talked about for like a half hour the other day was the mask mandates. Now certain states are lifting the restrictions on the mask. So, you know, being that we're talking about COVID, I think it's kind of goes hand in hand. I was watching a video last night of people on an airplane. And I'm not to single anybody out, but they were from Texas, and that's what they kept saying. We don't need to wear masks. It's not mandatory for us. And I get both sides of the spectrum. Hey, you know, the laws are being lifted in certain places, but when you go to certain places, they're going to require it. And
in my opinion, it doesn't matter. It's just like when you go into a restaurant and they say no shirt, no shoes, no service. If you're getting on an airplane and they're saying, our airline requires a mask, I don't care what fucking state you're from. You have to go by their rules.
Well, and you know, just to think, and especially because we love to talk about Vegas, everybody who comes to Vegas pretty much has that in their mindset
Right.
that they're gonna be wearing the mask for the week or however long time frame they're
No matter where you're from.
Yeah, so
Right.
I thought that was very interesting and something to talk about.
And until Nevada lifts their mandate for the mask, expect it. That's just something expected. Like Sydney was, our daughter was talking about something. She was like, "Yeah, I heard that they're lifting the mask mandate like March 31st," and I'm like, "I hadn't heard that. Have you heard that?"
Maybe for Georgia, not for.
Okay, yeah, I hadn't heard anything about it.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, until somebody specifically tells me, including my work when I'm there, okay, you don't have to wear it. I'm gonna assume that when I'm out, I need to have it on.
Well, and the approach that California's taking has been very slow for everything. So I think
better
Nevada's
safe than
taking
sorry,
its own approach,
you know,
because so much people from California go to Nevada. So
and all the new strains that are out of COVID.
Yes.
So they're saying
Like
even if
7
you've
now,
had it, even if you've had a vaccination, which my parents have had their first one, they get their second dose of the vaccine next week. We, I think, are not old enough as on the list.
Yeah.
But didn't you say something by like May?
yeah, they're
Supposedly
saying by
it's
May,
going to be open to everybody.
Yeah, most adults should be vaccinated by.
So I know, like when it comes available to me, I'm gonna do it because for right now, like there's no reason I don't feel like I shouldn't.
Yeah, right.
You know,
No, I get you. 100%.
I mean, it's just like the kids and their vaccinations. We had them all done when they're babies because that's what has been proven to be the best overall.
Right. And so on the subject of COVID in Vegas, and I think this will be a perfect. It just brings up so many topics. Like we have
talk all day long.
We have our friend Keith. I'm pretty sure it was Keith who I saw on a Facebook post a few months ago. He had mentioned he caught COVID in Vegas.
Keith had the good mask, right?
Yes.
Like what did it say? No.
Yeah,
no don'ts. Keep them don'ts. Or something.
Take them don'ts.
Take them don'ts.
Yeah, and so and the other one was buckshot. And so he mentioned that he caught it in Vegas and when he went back. So maybe, we talked to him down the road. We've already wanted to have Keith and Denny on because they are a fucking blast to talk to. But
hilarious.
yeah, I would love to discuss that with him too. So again, there's so much content we have for you guys. Again, there's going to be different versions we're going to be offering of the show. I mean, it's funny because literally when we go to Vegas, babe, I've told you, there's so many different people that come at me with like, hey, do you make money from doing the podcast? And it's funny because we don't. We have fun talking about Vegas, talking about our stories and the funny shit that happens.
And honestly, I'm just surprised people like to listen to what we have to say.
It blows my mind to see the numbers. You guys
we can talk all day long. Yeah. I'm like, really? People are actually watching? But cool.
And it's even cooler. And that's why I think the YouTube thing is going to be so big for us because just like our last trip together when we went and Dustin knew who we were right off the bat.
Right.
You know what I mean? And that's what's cool is they're going to know who we are even more. Like, they listen to us. And that's, again, why we're doing this YouTube version, guys, is I hope you guys understand is we love that you guys listen. And that touches our heart that you guys listen, download every episode. That means a lot. But I think it's going to make it even 10 times funner to have the YouTube version. You guys be live with us, BS with us, crack the jokes, let us know.
That'll be fun that it's interactive.
It's going to make it a lot more fun for us. I know it is by
What
far.
did I already tell you? What is my downside like about having to do YouTube? Tell him what's my down. Why was I like, why we have to do the YouTube?
Yeah, so I'm all excited about doing YouTube, right? I'm like, babe, we can do YouTube. It makes it easier. It's funner. If people want to, contribute to the show, they can do it that way. We never asked for anything, right? And she's like, so we're going to do YouTube for sure now? I'm like, yeah. That means I got to do my hair and my makeup? I'm like, son of a bitch. I was like...
True motherfucking story. I don't think I've worn lipstick since we went to Vegas. And even most of the time in Vegas, I had the mask on. So I'm like, oh,
well, even sitting
I actually got to spend time on this?
Even sitting down right now to record, I'm like, damn, we look kind of good, boo. That's great.
Yeah.
So again, we've missed this. We've missed interacting with you guys, chatting with you guys. Again, we have so much stuff to talk about. Being that we were on the break, couple different items to talk about would be some really big jackpots hit at one of our favorite places, a Vegas local,
Island.
A Vegas local at
Shout
Ellis
out.
Island, $905,000.
And I am jealous.
900,
jealous.
Yeah.
Good for
so
them.
Cool. And
that was the Buffalo one, right?
That was a Buffalo Gold one.
Buffalo.
The very next week, a lady getting on an airplane, getting ready to fly home to Texas, in the midst of the snow, the power outages, all the stuff they were dealing with down south, she decides she's going to play some Wheel of Fortune at the airport, at McCarran Airport.
Which they say, don't play the slots at the airport because they never hit.
Pay out.
They never pay out.
This lady hits a jackpot for over $300,000 before her flight home.
Guess who didn't fly home? No, I don't know if she did or not, but I wouldn't fly home.
No, she did it. She had to stay longer. So
because they have to verify.
She had to be
I
there
wouldn't take the next flight either.
So that brings up the question, and that's what I want. And this is for you first, and then again for you guys as well. If you guys want to reply, reach out to us on Twitter, tag us on Twitter, let us know your guys' answer. What would you do? We've witnessed one group trip. We've witnessed a $1.2 million jackpot hit right in front of us.
It's like Megabucks,
same game,
right?
No, same game. She was
Fortune?
playing Wheel of Fortune. Right in front of us, we're like, oh, right? And so you never see it, but to see it, it was one thing. So it brings up the question, Kel. We've hit a good jackpot before, and I think we'll do
not that good.
No, not that good. We've hit a good one before. We'll talk about that and show a video. Again, doing the YouTube, we can show videos. You know I have videos of everything.
I didn't even think he still had the video.
Oh, fuck yeah,
I know, I don't
video.
have the video.
So, again, it's only like 20 seconds, but it was when we hit a huge jackpot playing High Limit in
2014,
Laughlin.
2015.
Yeah, it was a few years ago.
It was...
But it brings up an interesting question. You hit something that big. Let's say, 500,000, whatever. What's the first thing you do? Do you go to dinner? Do you immediately extend your trip? Do you go to the strip club? Do you go shopping spree? What is it you do? And this is, again, it's not all for you. Don't look at me. You've been in the strip clubs probably more than some of the listeners that listen to this show.
I thought it was going to be funner.
Yeah,
it wasn't.
Yeah, I know. Some was a disappointment.
Yeah,
Babes was
most
fun.
of it.
Babes was chill.
Babes was fun.
Babes was chill.
That was
The
in
hookah
Henderson,
lounge,
and it was
that
just like
chill.
it was kicked back, and they weren't like
Larry Flint's
crazy.
not so chill.
Yeah, the Hustler Club was like they just wanted your credit card,
Yeah. So.
And they were all fucking drunk. They were all the girls were drunk and like, ugh.
Yeah, they were. It was sloppy.
Yeah.
Sloppy. Yeah, it did get out of hand. So again, what's the first thing you do? There's one thing that always sticks out to my mind that Eric Rosenthal mentioned a few years ago, right when that $1.2 million jackpot was hit, and it always stuck with me. And I know I can't wait till this day happens so I can do it for everybody.
Me too.
But you let me know, what would be the first thing you do, babe, if we hit something that big?
First thing, A and B, I would extend my trip and have a nice dinner, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not really a foodie, so like pizza would be great. I go to the plaza. Get pizza.
Okay.
But, that's my idea of a great dinner.
Okay.
I'd immediately set up a little trust fund for all the kids.
Yeah. Okay.
Because then they might not be taken care of for life, but they have a little something, if they want to put a down payment on a house,
Yes.
they want to put, buy a nice car after college, something, but they'd get through college and then have a little something as their reward.
Right. And so one thing that always sticks out with me with Eric Rosenthal, and he was actually one to reach out to us during the break. Hey, you guys good? I haven't heard from you guys in a while. So
I miss you,
I'm glad
Eric.
he's still listening.
Yeah,
We love you, brother. That's awesome. So he mentioned, when that, because we kind of talked about it amongst each other when we saw that jackpot hit. And I was like, I'd immediately do like a group dinner, treat everybody, right? And, I would do that. And he's like, that's pretty good. And, he's got that look, right? He's like, but what I would do is I would pay for everybody's trips and then set something up so we all come back another trip. I'm like, damn, okay, now we're talking. Because think about it. I mean, the people that come out, they spend we do too. We spend our money. We work hard for it. Imagine just going out there, hitting something good and being able to just share it with everybody a little bit. That would be pretty cool.
Yeah.
Say, hey, you know what? Well, whatever it was, $1,000 for your trip this weekend, boom, here it is.
Right.
For your trip. And that's something, you will never forget that moment because, yes, you hit something big, but they'll never forget that moment because you didn't have to, And that's one thing that I think is really cool. And some people may be like, I ain't giving nobody shit. I get that too. There's those kind of people too, but we're not like that. I think, I mean, honestly, Cal plays big on the slots, and you guys know this. One thing I don't think I've mentioned before, and Cal, she never mentions it because, I don't know, it's just like second nature for her. But every time Cal hits something, and Cal's hit something recently we'll talk about soon too, every time Cal hits a jackpot, always immediately, after tipping, who else do you give money to?
You.
Every single time. And there's always an argument, no, I don't want it. Then we go back and forth 5 times. She's like, sure you don't want it? Okay, I put it in my pocket. But literally, I mean, that's who she is. And I know.
Stupid, baby. Stupid.
I was born at night, but not last night, baby.
Right.
Yeah? So I think that's really cool. And I think that would be one thing that would, like, you know, stick out if something ever happened like that. Like, hey, let's take care of everybody, because not only would everybody remember it, but it creates that bond, right?
Right.
So it doesn't matter if 50 people are there. We've been to group meetups where a few hundred people are there. So whatever, when you win something, that it's not really a big deal. So I think that's something I would do. The listeners and viewers of the show, let us know what you guys would do. What would you guys go do? I know some of you guys would be like, oh, hookers and blow. No. Let us know what you guys would do. I know some of you guys would be like, hey, I'm going immediately to Steakhouse. I'm going to, you know, Giada's, whatever it may be. Would you gamble bigger than normal? Would you go to a dispensary? Would you go to the top of Eiffel Tower? Would you head out to Grand Canyon? So much shit to do in Vegas, right? What would be the first thing you do? So I think it's a pretty decent question. You guys tag us on Twitter. Let us know. I would love to hear you guys' feedback. And any cool ones that I think that we haven't touched, we'll cover the next episode for sure.
Sounds like a good plan.
So we talked a little bit about jackpots and, you know, craziness and what that's like. And that's always fun, right, to imagine. But let's talk a little bit about luck. And, you know, since starting this new job, and we are working together, in case you guys are wondering, that's fun again, because we worked together before, and that was a lot of fun. And now that we're doing it again, people can't believe that we both work in the same kind of industry, right? They're like, oh, it's really, I don't know, I find it funny. But this work environment we're in, the restaurant, everybody's a gambler.
Yeah.
Everybody's a gambler. Front of the house staff, back of the house staff, every single buddy, right? And so,
whether it's lottery tickets or casinos,
guys,
lotto.
Yeah. I literally started, I think it was January.
It's funny.
Yeah, I literally started January at this place, just working weekends because I got the kids during the week for school and stuff. Well, Super Bowl was coming up, right? And so everybody's like, hey, we're going to do squares. You guys want in? So, fuck yeah, we want in. So we get in. So when I started, like maybe 2 weeks later, one of the ex-employees had came back. His name is Sergio. He worked there like 20 years. He came back. So he was now back this first weekend where they're doing these squares. And so I'm like, all right, let's all get in. And he's like, I'm like, hey, you doing it? He's like, I don't even watch football. I'm in. So he puts his money in, right? And so dude just had a stupid amount of luck. So we get back the next day. Guess who wins? 2 squares. This guy put $20 in, cashed out $250, won 2 of the quarters.
Yeah.
So he was already super happy, right? So he gets to work and he's telling me all about it. And he's laughing. He's like, man, I don't even watch sports. I just drank that paid for all my beer and all this, right? He's laughing. And so maybe a couple weeks later, I go to work and everybody's talking about the Canelo fight, right? And this is very cool because I had never seen that. I asked Kel, remember, I'm like, babe, have you ever seen this kind of bet? I've never seen this one.
And all growing up, like our family had done it, you know, like you put the money in and you pick a number 1 through 12. And if they get knocked out or the fight gets called in that round, you're the winner.
You're the winner.
Julian had never heard of this. And I'm like, oh, yeah.
So I'm like,
watch fights.
They asked me, they're like, hey, you want in on this? I'm like, no, I'm good, right? I've never done this one. So, one of the persons up front is like, oh, you're not getting one? Give me 2, right? And so she bought two numbers. Very next day, get to work. This guy comes in, he's dancing. It's 8 o'clock in the morning. He's like, hey, guess who won? I'm like, you're fucking kidding. He's like, no, but it gets even better. He said, when I left here yesterday, I bought me a scratcher. And on that scratcher, I won $300 too. I was like, damn, he's had so much luck this past few months. And I'm like, dude, so I've been asking him, you been playing lately? He's like, yeah. You've been having luck? A little bit, little hits there.
Yeah, all you need is that one win to get you hooked.
That's right. And to win $300 on the scratcher?
Yeah, like
that's
that.
That's rare, yeah, that's rare. So I was like, damn, man, this guy's hot right now. So I thought that was funny, and I wanted to ask you, what's your biggest run of luck you've been on? Whether it be casinos, betting, lottery.
Well, since doing my taxes recently.
Oh yes, this is interesting. Yeah, this is interesting.
I was going through old statements, and I actually had to go to a couple of casinos and get my WTG statements because, for some reason, I don't file like I should. You know, I don't keep a file of my W2Gs. In 2019, apparently, which I have no idea where all this money went. But I had like 16 W2Gs from the same casino, totaling like $55,000. And I was like, and like 8 of them were within like a month and a half between January and like February 15th.
Yeah.
And I was like, what happened to all that money? You know, and you know, if you're a good gambler, you know, like you have to pay to play to win. Right. So, you know, and that's just the way, that's just the nature of the beast. But, you know, you look back about a year and a half ago and I'm like, I don't remember all of these. So, you know, and not all of them were great. I kind of had a couple like 5,000, 4,000s and a couple, you know, 13, 1,400 ones, but 15 WTGs for one casino in 1 year. I was like,
that's pretty good. That's pretty good.
No wonder they send me free offers.
Yeah. And I think my best time I ever had was when it goes back to that jackpot. When we hit that jackpot, remember? We're like, all right, we got all this money. I'm going to go play big, babe. I'm going to the blackjack table. I'm going to play big.
And you didn't.
I get to the blackjack table and I'm still playing $5. I couldn't do it. And I must have won every single hand that I played before I went back to craps.
That jackpot he's talking about was Laughlin. It was like roughly like 2015. It was through Caesars. That's when I used to play a lot at Caesars. They offered to fly us out to Laughlin for like 3 days from Fresno. So we got this free flight, free room. I mean, it was legit, right? Yeah. It was fun. We get to Laughlin, day one, we lose, right? And I lose, right? And then I have like $150 in like free play. So I'm like, hey, let's just go play the big one. And I love playing double bonus poker. It's 3 hands, but I usually play like quarters, so it's like 5 something a hand. And I'm like, this free money, let's go play it. So we go to the dollars, $21 a hand, right? Third hand in, it gives us a royal flush, $4,000. So we're like fucking ecstatic, like, yes, you know, this paid for our trip. Now we have money to play, blah, blah, blah. That's like Saturday.
That's night 1, yeah. But don't talk about the big jackpot because we're going to save that. Because we're going to say that's going to be its own separate episode because it's worth it. Because the stories that go with that jackpot. You have your first time taking some edibles.
That wasn't the same weekend, was
baby,
it?
was Super Bowl weekend.
Was that the same weekend?
Yes, it was Super Bowl weekend. You already forgot.
It's all his fault.
You already forgot. Guys, this whole Laughlin weekend was a great freaking trip.
I thought that was a separate weekend.
No, you're off, boo. We won Super Bowl weekend. Remember, we lost our ass all night that Sunday, and then the very next morning, walking back from all the casinos, we hit that jackpot.
My memory's not that good.
And I'm the smoker here. So
true.
So again, we'll discuss that down the road. But again, so much fun. But again, that first night, the royal hit. That first night, and then it was on, right? You had even we did sports bets, and then you had kept like lingering back and forth, playing it here and there, and then when we get to that show eventually, we'll talk about how we both were like, all right, let's just go. It's one of the last days. Let's go play it. You're like, it has to hit. It has to hit. And sure enough.
I don't know.
Yeah, I know. It was a while. It's okay. I have the video. I'll show you. Refresh your mind.
I want you to pull it up. I want to see what date
I will.
it is.
Oh yeah, I know. That will be interesting. That weekend was a blast. And again, I really want to get back to Laughlin because
I liked Laughlin.
Bobby G is working there. Yeah. And imagine if we walked in and surprised Bobby G one day and just showed up at his bar.
And I just like Laughlin. Yeah. I like the people there. I like it's a slower pace. Mm-hmm. I love the $5 craps. That's what disappointed me. When we went to Vegas in October.
Every trip.
No, but specifically in October, I was really wanting to have a good crap session. And at a table that had, what is it called?
You like small, tall, and all.
Small, tall, and all. Yeah. Because it just gives you something to work for, even if you're not betting all across. But I like $5 craps, small, tall, and all.
Yeah.
We couldn't find it in Vegas. Like, there was that one at Binion's, but you had to be there at 10 o'clock in the morning. Yeah. Before it filled up one table. Right. And that didn't even last that long because it was just kind of
I think the other $5 table we saw was at Stratosphere when we were just strolling through there. but I'm not sure if it had small Tylenol.
I don't think it had small Tylenol.
Yeah.
I know Circa had small Tylenol.
Circa did, and they were...
But they were like $15, $20 tables.
The first night, 15
It's hard to enjoy yourself on that and play the small Tylenol.
And that's our problem, and we've discussed it many a times. Like, I love... You guys know, I'm the lowest roller of them all. I love playing $5, but even when I'm playing $5, I can have $60 out there all spread out on the table and feel less like shit when I put, 7 different bets out there after a come out roll and then immediately 7 out. Like, that stings me more on a $10 table and seeing all that money go right away versus being able to let it lay and play, feel different numbers, whatever it may be, stupid bets. But I find it a lot more fun that way for me, even if it's $5. Well. So.
And Laughlin has had that, you know.
And I think that's a lot of the listeners. The listeners are the same way. Hey, I saw a Facebook post, where can I find $5 craps tables, you know? So, I mean, and it was a lot of comments. So people were helping each other out. And, you had some people were like, hey, that one's outdated. This is a new place. So, again, it's very cool to see you guys like that online. It's very neat. And, again, the different communities, podcasting, the networking that we've been doing, even on the break. Guys, there's going to be a trip here coming up soon. I think I have 6 different interviews lined up. All of them are Vegas locals, and I'm excited to chat with every single one of them. There's a lot of stuff happening coming up. There's going to be the Virgin opening, the old Hard Rock. That's going to be happening. Buffets are going to be opening here pretty soon in Vegas. There's going to be a lot of stuff going on, but I'm really super excited to meet some of these other podcasters. They got a lot of different people in Vegas that you guys know, and you guys know how I am. I like to go out there and chat with people. I don't care who you are, where you're from. I want to know your story, right? And that's what this podcast is about. The different stories. How'd you end up in Vegas? What are your must go-to spots that people should take time out of their trip to check out?
And one of our friends is moving to Vegas too.
That's right. Big shout out to our buddy Alex. Alex is the same guy who basically
was our tour guide.
A tour through Vegas. So he's moving. I think he said the beginning of May. So he's super excited about that. Yeah. So again,
and he was an awesome tour guide. Like, he made our trip that time when we went out.
And you guys know how I am. Like, you guys know I love to talk about Vegas, but to get something shown to you for the first time, it's like, right?
And he had history about a lot of places and where he took us.
Yes.
I mean, great guy. I'm excited when he goes out there. Hopefully we can hook up again because he can show us even more places. So excited for him. Shout out to Alex.
And he's excited to be moving it. Can you imagine moving to Vegas? And he's already.
We always talk about it, but we got to get rid of the kids first.
Industry, right? We're not in that industry.
We could be.
I mean, we could be, but he's a dealer, right? It's different. So I mean, the opportunities, right? I mean, anywhere in Vegas. I mean, especially if you
our industry too. Once it starts going, you could.
Yeah, that's true. But again, one day we'll be there soon.
That's right.
We'll be there soon. Shit. So again, another thing I wanted to talk about a little bit more is you guys. I mentioned, reaching out through us on Twitter. Again, the multiple different ways between the emails, the Facebooks, the Instagram, all those. I missed some of those. So again, I want to
get him at Twitter.
I want to imply, guys, reach out to us on Twitter, whether it's a DM if you want to be. He's always
on Twitter.
If you want to be anonymous, we don't have to say names, anything. But again, to you guys who have been reaching out, who have been sending love and been asking, hey, are you guys okay? That's fucking awesome, man. That does mean a lot because we have fun doing this, talking to each other. It sounds crazy.
Do we have fun?
Well, we'll call it that. But we talk to each other, and that's what I'm like, babe. Imagine how much.
Can you imagine if we talk to other people, and I'm like, do you mean you don't want to just talk to me? And he's all.
Tricky question, right?
Damned if you do and damned if you don't.
That's right. Always being set up over here. So again, pretty soon, within the next few days, actually, I'm going to plan on doing a recording and talking about the next trip, the trip plans.
You have
what
to.
What I'm looking forward to, and some of the people I'm going to be talking to.
Yes.
I literally have a few days to get this done. And I'm looking forward to it. And this is not a grab at, I'm going back to Vegas, so I got to record now. Again, we've been talking about this for months. And the fact that I have 6 interviews lined up, I ought to let you know.
We were supposed to record.
Not just going to Vegas.
We were supposed to record like a week ago. And then you had some equipment not come in on time.
And I was waiting on, actually, we tried to get this. Can you believe this? A professional soundproof curtain. I've never heard of that shit in my life, but there's one up in the office. But there's so much stuff I'm learning different techniques, different ways to use different equipment and utilize what I have already. And again, majority of the stuff here, sound equipment, all this stuff, professional equipment, it's all top tier. I just gotta figure out how the fuck to put it together, right? So again,
and he's not asking me.
No, let's not do that. So again, guys, I want to thank you guys for listening. I appreciate you guys listening, and keep an eye out for future episodes. There's going to be one coming up the beginning of this upcoming week. I'm letting you
back.
know.
That's what we're trying to say.
Letting you know
back.
Now. We're going to be before Wednesday. It's going to be up before Wednesday of this upcoming week. So I'm letting you guys know now. Be ready. Get ready to listen. All the plans, the people that are coming to the show, and the stories you're going to get, because I'm super excited. Some of these people I met the last trip. Some of these people I've already known. And some of these people I've been friends with for years, and you guys already know. So again, some of the biggest social media people in town to, again, people who run different podcasts and network with other people that I think you guys should check out. Because again, if you guys love Vegas, there's a bunch of different intricate ways you guys can get more out of Vegas by just watching different YouTube channels, different podcasts. All the way around, we're trying to give you different aspects of Vegas. Big picture things here for the show is making sure you guys are aware that in a couple months, this is all going specifically to YouTube. Everything's going only be exclusively available on YouTube. So again, for you guys who like to just listen to the podcast, this is for you. Listen up. You guys can open up the YouTube tab, play the episode, close your phone, and still get the audio, no problem. Same concept. But I think it's going to be a lot more fun, and I'm excited for what we're going to do with the show in the future. The streaming side of it, the sitting here, kicking back, having drinks, chat with you guys, bullshitting, gaming. I'm even planning on bringing some of the PlayStation 5 games in. There's a casino game that they have on the PlayStation 5. We can do it here on the YouTube channel as well. I'm thinking about bringing in some Call of Duty and hanging out at nights and just hanging out. There's a lot of shit I can do with this equipment that we've brought in. So I'm excited to have you guys come hang out more, bring more gambling to the scene, and expose you guys to a lot more people in Vegas. So again, guys, from the bottom of my heart, thank you guys for reaching out, for listening, all the love. And until this week, cheers.
Cheers.